fine with the recording, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so I was saying that this course has a tutorial and it is 3 lectures. So all the lectures are scheduled as shown right now, and they will be conducted in offline mode in mechanical engineering department itself. Okay, but for the time being, as all the courses have to run in the online mode, so we will be running this in online mode only until further notification from the institute. Okay. Okay, so now as I was saying that all the classes will be live classes. Okay, meaning that we have like it will be through Google Meet, and students will join it live. Whatever we just hold on, just a minute. Somebody is knocking. Sorry about that. Okay, so the classes will be conducted live and everybody has to be present, and whatever we work here, I will share it as PDF, and we are recording this session. Every session will be recorded so that we can also share with you to review later on. Okay. Okay, so this is as far as the classes are concerned, and then required textbook is as given. This is JFish and Blisko, a first course in finite elements. So it's a very nice book actually. Okay, so this will be the prime textbook. We will be starting from that only. If you want the advanced, this textbook is very basic basically. The way it is written, it very nicely written, suitable for undergrads very much. For graduate level will also it will help. However, if you want more advanced like book, you can refer to Reddy JN. Okay, Jane Reddy book, very good book, and other books which are given in the reference book. So you can have a look at that. Okay, and now course content. So we actually follow or cover the whole book of this fish book, right? Fish and Blisko book we are going to cover, and accordingly, in fact, the chapter wise breakup is also given. Basically, you can find which topic relates to which chapter and all. So we have these are module wise course content. Of course, unless we understand what it is, so just reading it will not give you some idea. So I will briefly talk about what is finite element analysis and all. Okay, so but roughly it has problems dependent. So one problem is there is no mathematical equation, but still no PDF given, partial differential equation given. Okay, and still you can problem is given, like a structural problem is given, heat transfer problem is given. Even then you can apply finite element analysis and you can solve it. Okay, now this course is mostly for computer, implementation, means big problems that you cannot solve analytically. So you using the computer programming. So if you don't understand the computer implementation, then this course is not meaningful. Okay, so computer programming will be integral part of it, although we don't have the lab with it, but we will give you one programming assignment. Okay, and I will also share with you some programs to solve those problems. Okay, so by that you will know how to program them. Now, as I said, this is problem dependence. Like one dimensional problem will be there. For example, you have heat transfer in one dimension, right? In linear problems. Actually, what I mean by linear is not just, it's not about in the sense of differential equation, but in the sense of the structural analysis, right? In solid mechanics, you have one bar, you know, so uniaxial tension, for example, this is one kind of problem, right? So 1D problem. Then there will be 2D problems or multidimensional problems. So for example, you have a plate, plane stress kind of problem, you know, so you have a plate and you have a heat transfer in that, but again the variable will be different. For example, a structural analysis problem, displacement as a variable, right? So you give a force is also like it's not a scalar, it is a vector, and your output, I mean the displacement or response is also a vector. But the other case will be you have like a heat transfer problem, and in that case what do you have? You have you will give some kind of heat energy, right? So which is a scalar again, and you measure the temperature, which is scalar. So all the problem may be, but the variables may be a scalar or vector. So this complexity will come, and accordingly we are going to deal with it. Okay, so we will start with a very simple problem where there is no differential equation given, then there is a differential equation given, and then differential equation given but in 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions, and then the variable on which the differential equation is defined may be vector or scalar. So what you see is actually the problem is getting difficult, and accordingly as we progress in this course you will understand to solve them easily. Now as far as mark distribution is concerned, there will be 2 quizzes. Okay, so total 20% marks. Then there will be a programming homework or project that will constitute 10%. Then the mid-semester exam will be 30%, and end semester exam will have 40% weightage. So that makes it 100%. Okay, now institute rules will be followed for assigning the final grade for this course, and minimum pass marks for this course will be 35. Okay. Okay, now one thing here, I think I should have actually done this, but I'm going to change. So although I think I made some mistake, there has to be some continuous evaluation as well. So what I will do is 10% will be continuous evaluation. So that means QGIS 20%, continuous evaluation will be 10%, and then mid-sem exam 30%, end-sem exam 30%. So please read, instead of 40%, I will change it and share with you. End-sem exam will be 30% only, mid-sem exam 30%, then 10% will be continuous assessment, meaning that I give you a homework and all, and then a computational project will be 10%, and quizzes will be 20%. So that makes 100%. Please note it. I will also correct it, and I will share with you. Okay, so end semester exam will be 10%, and continuous evaluation will be 10%, which will be based on the homework and assignment, which could be on Moodle based as well. Okay, now this grading scheme, I told you minimum passing marks will be 35%. Now like as per the institute rules, all the quizzes and competition homeworks, while doing that, there should not be any kind of unfair means. Remember that. Okay. Okay. Then plagiarism or any kind of computational project there should not be any plagiarism of any kind in the computational project with respect to the problem chosen, its solution methods, computer programming, and the contents of the report. So whatever you do yourself. It should not be copied from others' work, not even a single line. Okay, even not from the book. Okay, so all the sentences have to be your own. Okay, I emphasize it because in the past it happened that somebody copied just one paragraph, and then I gave for a project I did not give any marks, and his grade was lowered by 1. So for example, if he was eligible for B, then he got B minus. So it is I'm telling you, emphasizing it, that any kind of plagiarism, copying, I'm dead against it, and please do not do it. All institute rules will be followed, and a strict disciplinary action shall be taken for their violation. Remember that. Okay. Now, minor exams will be from chapter 1 to 5. Okay, and for end semester exam, okay, so it will be from chapter 1 to 11, all of them included. Okay. Okay, attendance, as per the institute rules, at least 75% attendance is required in all classes, whether I'm conducting it in offline mode or online mode. Okay, so you have to be present during all the lectures. Okay, 75%, because 25% is for the situation in which there are some situation in which you are allowed to be absent. Otherwise, 75%. Okay. So please be there. I have a TA here, Mr. Sanjay Singh, who will be looking at attendance, okay, and any other thing. So he is constantly watching. So please be there in time also, and stay during the whole class. Okay, it's not that you just log in and then you assume that you are present. Okay, so I made sometime in the middle I can ask to respond, or maybe switch on your camera. So be prepared for that also. Okay. Yeah, and interaction wise, it's always good to have interaction with your camera on. Okay, so if you are in situation in which you cannot on the camera, then you have to let me know. But I think it is on your own good. Always it is good when we our communication is better. And, we have a lot of non-verbal communication. So that is so. It is good when we are face to face. Remember that I'm not going to tell to switch on your camera today, but later on I may say. Okay, so in that case, if you are not unable to do that, you can tell me. But what I request you, that please be prepared for this. Okay, and this is for on your own good. Remember that. Okay, now this time schedule, you can see, like I'm relating it to the textbook actually. So if you see this introduction and all this is the name of the chapters basically, and from there I'm relating to in which week what chapter will be covered. So it is related nicely, so that you do not have any problem. You can actually see how they are distributed. Okay, so this is what is as far as the course is concerned. Any question if you have, just ask me. Okay, so any confusion, something you could not get it, you can tell me. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, you mentioned continuous evaluation. So what exactly will be its content?
So that will be like, I will give you some homework. Okay, so maybe I give you some homework based on like Moodle, for example, right now. Yeah, or when it is in offline mode, I can give you some homework to solve and submit. Get it? Yeah. So it will be assignment, homework assignment, but it will be
like
on
computer based or handwritten based. Like that's what I'm asking.
Say again.
I'm sorry, it will be computer based, like programming assignments, or will it be handwritten assignments?
Numerical assignments. This is numerical assignment. For computer one, there will be one project which you will have to submit at the end of the semester, around the end of the semester. Okay, so that date I will give you later on. So there are two kinds of assignments. One is programming assignment, which would be only one, which has to be submitted around the end of the semester. Okay, before the exams, of course, before the end sem exams. And another will be the continuous evaluation, what I'm talking about. There will be several of it, okay? There will be several assignments, chapter wise maybe, yeah? So which could be on Moodle based, or could be, paper submission. When it offline mode starts, then you have to submit on paper as well. This could be anything, okay? But the total weightage is 10%. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Did you get it? Yeah. So any other question? Any other question, guys?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, will the final grading be relative or absolute?
Okay, so final grading, actually typically I grade relative only, actually, mostly actually, okay? So I can tell you that somebody will get A, yeah? Not guaranteed. I mean, it's not that everybody decide, okay, don't work at all, and then, then in that case, if I see that if overall performance is bad, then I can give below also, okay? But this this will be relative only, okay? So right now all the exams and quizzes evaluation as per the notification from the academic section are to be on offline mode only, okay? So offline mode, when you say offline mode, in that case it could be it will be mostly like not relative but absolute, because in that case your questions are different. But when it is online, then the questions typically how I say it is will be relative, so what I can tell you right now is typically for the always I have been given A to somebody will get A for sure, somebody will get F for sure. F not sure basically, but it turns out every semester there is somebody who will fail. So it is not that I purposely fail somebody. There is somebody who will not get a minimum 35 marks required after relative grading as well. So what I can tell you right now, it is a kind of it will be relative only, okay? Because I'm giving like A to A, somebody since somebody gets A. You got it? So I rescale.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any other question? Okay. I want to remind that courses should not be based on grades, okay? So it should be based on what you learn, okay? So for me also, during my BTech days at IIT Kharagpur, I had finite element analysis course, and I got B. B, there it has EX, A, and B. It is like B will be the same. Here we have A minus B, right? So B is, you get 8 out of 10. But doesn't matter. But although I was a topper in the class, half the students failed also in that, but still looking back on that, I think that was one of the best class I had. So I learned a lot. So I mean, till now I'm working on finite element analysis thanks to that class. So don't look at that. Look at your learning. Look at how it will be applicable. So, and if you are sincere with this course, you will get good marks. It's not that you cannot, but you have to put the efforts. Yeah. This is also an interface to those students, for those students who want to go into programming side or work with companies which make software such as ANSYS, Abacus. So this is gives you opportunity. So we will also have some as a part of the homework, you also have to learn Abacus and Abacus or ANSYS, whatever structural analysis or fundamental analysis solver you know or you have. And then you also have to program the same thing, and you have to compare the results. So while doing that, you will know both the things, how to program, meaning that if you have a solver like Abacus or ANSYS or Nastran or any other, somebody must have programmed it. And those who programmed had to know both. He had to know the fundamental analysis and also had to know the programming. So this is an interface. You can very much say that this is the interface between mechanical engineering and computer science. So a lot of things are also involved there. How to do calculation efficiently. So data structure becomes important in that case, and all kind of things like you can use. So like a vector, for example, the linked list and all kind of concept you can use basically when you are doing actual programming. Although you can here, it is not, it will not about the programming, because we will have just introduction. I will use some MATLAB type of language. In fact, we will use this Scilab, which is a clone of MATLAB. Okay, and Scilab is open source, so we will use that. So we are not going to into a low level programming as C provides. However, like MATLAB itself or Scilab itself has been written using those low-level programming languages. So they take care of all those things. Although you will not realize, but in the background, all those things, data structure, all that kind of things that go on. But if you want to make your own program, make it faster, then you have to write in C, for example, and then compile it. And then you can have your own control over the how fast the program is. Also, you can use like a multi like processor like programming and all. So all those things also you can do. So a lot of things you can do and apply basically, and those things are already there in the big softwares. They use those kind of things. They use a multi processor. They a big problem, they will divide into chunks, and then they solve separately on separate processes. Say the MPI routine of C language, for example, that kind of thing. So C provides a lot of learning, but you have to learn on your own. This just gives you an opportunity. So later all depends on how much you want to do. And from your job perspective, so it's not that you get some course and you got and that ensures your job. No, that what ensures your job is your interest. Okay, so if you have an interest, by interest you will do lot of things that otherwise not taught. And your interest will be reflected when you are sitting in the interview. Right, and there somebody asks you, then you will reply, and based on that, it will reflected. You will get a job. So always, if you are really, I heard it is important to talk about it, because I think this is a part of motivation, and this today session I think I will put as a motivation only, and the motivation behind this taking this course, as I said earlier, it should not be the getting good grades. So getting good grades doesn't actually gives you anything. However, even if you have you're not so good grade, but you have sincerely studied, you have done some things on your own, you have used ANSYS or Abacus on your own to learn it, you have done programming, so automatically this will be a part of your life. So grades will not be part of your life. For the initial probably first 1-2 years. After that, what you have done, what interest you have developed, what background you have made, and how much, that is only going to be part of your life. So remember that. So it's I mean, in fact, I see a lot of people getting into like computer science kind of minor, or they want this kind of job, but at the same time I don't see the efforts. So I mean, just because somebody has got minor, that is one option. There are many other options. There are many options that if you are really interested in programming, you can still study, and still you can get those jobs in computer industries. And this is one of the course in which actually really, if you are interested in, you can do much more. Basically, you go into depth, and you can get, if you are interested in programming type of like a job, at the same time you want to be relevant to mechanical engineering, this is the job that gives you the good of both the worlds. So you have to know what is the mechanics, what is fluid mechanics or heat transfer and all. At the same time, you are also have additional skill like programming. You combine them together, nothing like that. And this gives you a good job opportunities in India, abroad as well. In Boeing, for example, so a lot of structural analysis engineers are there. So all aerospace engineering industries. Here also, automobile industries, for example. So there are many places where you can do. So anyway, this is a part of motivation. And as far as this finite element analysis is concerned, this actually is coming from very like from the beginning, basically, and this is one thing which was very much required at different industries. Yeah? And mostly it started with the space and this NASA, for example. So they needed, for an analysis of structures and all, they needed a computer program which can solve difficult problems, big problems. Yeah, and then it was adapted to automobile industry and so on. So from there, so a lot of, in fact, Nastran comes from NASA, for example. Nastran, NASA, it's a word. NASA is there, right? So similarly, there are many other softwares which were developed on those industries, and then we'll came to academics later on. So if you see what is the advantage? Why do you want to do it? So basically, you see, like ultimately, all the problems what we know is actually the some differential equation will be there, and finally we have to solve it. So just a minute. I want to start I want to share the screen so that something I can write. Okay, guys. So so this is what am I saying, that there's a big structure, right? So let us say you have either you have given an equation, right? Either you have given an equation and that you have to solve. But this equation, the solution could be in the solution not necessarily you have like an analytical solution for all problems. So you have to do numerical analysis to actually find the problem. So small problems you can get the solution analytically. The big problems you cannot do it. So if you see that a problem like let us say you have a aircraft, yeah, and you have to do some structural analysis, right? And now it is if you had a problem like just a bar with a force here, you can find a solution, right? Solution means displacement. What we are talking about in this case, a structural analysis problem. So if you have a bar, you know that in solid mechanics class you studied that you can find out the displacement. But in this case, when you have a whole aircraft, and then what to do? It's not that easy. And then what will you do? Well, in that case, we formulate it differently. And how you formulate? We formulate the finite element. Basically, we consider we find out the solution in a small domain. Okay, so what we do is we divide that into a number of elements. Okay, number of elements is a small regions basically that we divide the whole aircraft into, yeah, and then we try to find an approximate solution for every reason basically, yeah, and those finding the approximate solution, yeah, there is a way of doing it, yeah, and this is mathematically proven that those solutions will converge to the actual solution as you increase the number of discretization, as you increase the number of those reasons. So this is what we study. So big problem, we are dividing into it a small problems basically, and then we are going to solve that. And whatever solution we get, it will be approximate solution. So it is not exact solution. It may be exact solution also in certain condition also. So, but this is the main thing. Okay, so looking at this, for example, let us say you have a bar whose area is changing. Yeah, so this is kind of complicated, right? So although we will study later on, but I'm telling you how you can do it. Okay, we can, let us say we can have divide into two parts, right? So divide into two parts. So one part will be this part, and one will be this part. Yeah, and then we find out, okay, what is the equivalent spring for this one? What is the equivalent spring for this one? And then we get K1 here, we get K2 here, and then you have the force, and then you find out U equal to F over K1, or this one is K1 K2, so it will be K1 K2 divided by K1 plus K2, right? Those are necessary. So you get U will be like this one. Yeah. So basically what it demonstrates is when we have a difficult problem, we divide into several parts, and accordingly we can assume very small thing. Assumption in this case will be what area we know that K equal to EA over L. I will come back to that later on. So here, if area is A1, A2, we can assume here A equal to A1 plus A2 divided by 2, means average of the two, we can do it. So in that case, even if the section is arbitrary, but still if we apply that principle that A equal to A1 plus A2 divided by 2, we can use it here. And we can go ahead, we can find out the stiffness, and from that we can solve it. This is just very small example how a big problem is divided into a small problem, and you can still solve it. Okay. So any question, guys? So far, any question? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you will understand more as we go further and further. Okay, so this one is like giving one example how the big problem divided into a small problems, or you can say that a big problem like a ship, for example, yeah, and so a big problem, as you know, that this is you can assume it is a free beam, basically, which is being loaded, yeah, and so in order to solve, what you do, you divide into a number of regions, what we call it, the element, and for every element you formulate the problem, you solve the problem, right? And find the solution will be approximate, but it will be close to the actual solutions, right? Okay, and that's why first we have to know, basically, what the division means, what is the problem means, what problem you're trying to solve, and that's why this mathematics comes into picture. However, there is some, we will start with what is called the direct approach. This is the chapter 2 of the textbook, direct approach. Okay, so when you say direct approach, here we look at basically let us say there's a spring. Okay, so what is the that approach, meaning that no involvement of differential equations. Okay, so we will come to know the differential equation later on, but direct approach means differential equation we are not using. Okay, so how are we using? So let us say, first example, we will learn about the spring, and let us say we have to solve this problem. Simple problem. This is a spring, a stiffness of K. This is a force F. You know, we have to find out U equal to what? It's a discrete problem. Yeah, so the point A, point B is loaded with F, U equal to what? We know the answer. Okay, U equal to F over K, that you know, because F equal to K times U. You know that. However, if you want to solve it finite element wise, how do you solve it? And how you formulate? Okay, so without even looking at the differential equation, and we have to find it out mechanically. Let us say you were in the lab, and you have to find out, you have to solve it just by measuring things. Even you don't know what the K is. Here in this case, in order to solve it, you have to know what the K is. Yeah, and suppose a spring is just, you went to a lab and you found out one spring, and then based on that, you have to know if you applied a force F, then how much displacement will be. Yeah, so then how will you do? Okay, one way will be to you just fix it and do it, you know, but how the finite element method works is as follows. So what you do is, first of all, you define the degree of freedom. So we have one degree of freedom here, which is U1. The second degree of freedom is U2. Yeah, so these points are called nodes. Nodes, right? Endpoint. And the region between these 2 points, this point is known as element. So this is element. Okay, so this whole thing is element which has 2 nodes. Only you can say is this is 2 noded element. Right? Okay. Now the displacement, this is a spring element. Of course, this is a spring. We are talking about the spring. Okay, a spring is very easy to understand because you have solved problems involving springs a lot, you know, during your high school. So, okay. So now, how it works? So, what we will do is, there is something called a stiffness matrix. Yeah, this problem U1, U2, yeah, and let us say stiffness matrix is the stiffness is K. The whole problem, we want to write it as some stiffness matrix K times displacement matrix equal to F. This you call it a stiffness matrix. and this is called displacement vector. And this you call the force vector. Okay. Now, this problem has to be written in this form. And how to do? What is the meaning of K? What is the meaning of U? So here, U is nothing but the nodal displacement. So you have U1 and U2. Right? Okay. What is the meaning of F? F is also nodal forces. So you have what is the meaning of F? F has to be like this. So let's say this is F1. This is F2. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, in this case, if here the force is F1, you apply the force F1, so you will write F1 applied to F2. So this is again the force vector which has nodal forces F1 and F2, meaning that what is the force there. So, okay. So far, we have the spring, you have U1, you have U2, and then we have the forces F1, the forces F2. You have like that, right? And accordingly, you have two vectors. What about the K? Okay. Now, say, in order to find out K, what we do? We have to, what we'll do is, we will fix the number 2, so the K will have the components called K11, K12, K21, K22. Okay, I will explain what is the meaning of those. So this is number 1 node, number 2 node. K11 means K11 equal to force at degree of freedom 1 when node when degree of freedom df1 is displaced by unity. Okay, what is the meaning of that? Meaning that if you fix the other force df when number 2 is displaced by unity while keeping all other DOF fixed. Meaning that K11 is 1, meaning that this is the displacement at the force required at degree of freedom 1, and this is 1 when force is K11. What you are doing? You are applying a unit displacement at degree of freedom 1 and measuring force where at 1 itself, that and keeping all other fixed. So you are fixing these things and you are applying a force here. Yeah. So how much will you need? Meaning that K11 will be the force you need to displace it by. So this is U1 equal to 1, and F here, whatever force required, will be K11. Right? So this is K. So how much force will you need to displace it by 1? You know that F equal to becomes K, F equal to K times U. And in this case, F we have to find out how much force equal to K is what? K is given K, and U1 is equal to 1 equal to K. And this F we know at K11. So K11 becomes equal to K. And so on, right? Finally, so again, I will repeat the same thing. I just wanted to little start a bit, so accordingly we can actually next time I will repeat the same thing all over again, and we will find out the value will be something like this, minus K1. K will be equal to K minus K minus KK. Yeah. So we got K11 equal to K. We'll find out K12 equal to minus K, K21 equal to minus K, K22 equal to K. Yeah, and accordingly we go ahead from there. Okay, so this is we'll leave here because time is up. You have other classes, but still we started it so that so we will continue from here. We will start from the beginning again. But this is how our aim is. Finally, we have to get a problem. All finite element problems will end up in KU equal to F format, where any problem we are changing into a matrix form. Okay, so changing matrix form, why? Because that makes it easier to solve. We can apply the computer methods. Once you have this, any problem, if you convert that into a matrix, then it's very easy to solve it. And that is the reason we will do it, So I will start from the beginning tomorrow, okay? In the meantime, you also read the books, okay? And then we will see how we get K equal to this one. Yeah, and we will solve we will start with the problem by spring. Yeah. So any question, guys? Any confusion? Anything that you thought it was difficult to understand? Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. See you tomorrow. Okay. At the same time, 10 o'clock.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, actually, I'm from the civil engineering background.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
can we keep up the course with that things like you were using terms like thermodynamics and heat transfer? So I'm not used to them.
No, it's okay. I mean, see, this is general purpose course, which is for all departments. All departments means mainly for mechanical, So we will have all kinds of problems, this heat transfer and all. But remember that I'm going to tell what the problem is. Everything comes down to the differential equation, So I will write a differential equation. I will explain what is the meaning of that. So you will understand. Right now, spring you understand, right? Civil engineering says spring,
Yes, sir. Spring,
yeah.
sir.
So you will never have problem. I know that. Earlier also from civil engineering, quite a few students have studied already. From not only civil, from electrical also. Those who don't have even know about the structures also. So don't worry about that. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
we all right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.